so a very quick video that we're going to take a look at today, taken from the Objective Proficiency students book. It's the exam folder at the end of Unit 3, and what we're going to have a look at is another open-close activity. That's part 2 of the C2 Proficiency exam, the Reading and Use of English section of the exam. And a lot of people want to know how to brush up for this part of the exam. What kind of things are you going to be focusing on? Well, basically, there's only one word to put in each gap, right? So what kind of words are they going to be? Because we always say they're sort of grammatical words, essentially, right? Here it says, it gives you a list of specific things that you need to be pretty good at. So if you just look here to the left of the screen, it says fixed phrases, for example, as a rule, to all extent and purposes. So these sort of fixed phrases get tested a lot. There'll often be an element of that fixed phrase missing, which is the word that you have to put in the gap. Relative pronouns, obviously, a very common one: who, which, where, all that kind of thing. Linkers, moreover, let alone, however, that kind of thing, that link one idea to the next, particularly when there's contrast or continuity. Prepositional phrases, out of order, right? So there'll be, again, an element of that phrase missing. Phrasal verbs, of course, hundreds of those that we need to learn. Obviously, very, very common that part of a phrasal verb is missing. Prepositions. Prepositions are really complicated because we often have similar expressions from one language to another, or we have a verb with a preposition like result in, regardless of. You can have adjective and verb preposition collocations that are very similar, but slightly different, and they don't translate literally from your language into English. Collocations, seriously interesting, widely read. A lot of the time there's no reason why we say largely read or widely read. It's just widely read is the collocation that we use, right? We wouldn't say largely read necessarily, depending on the context. Reflexive pronouns, myself, himself, they're often used in strange places. Reflexive pronouns are ones that get tested quite a lot, obviously, because we don't have reflexive verbs in English. We often have to use reflexive pronouns and people forget them. And they form parts of phrases a lot of the time, the reflexive pronouns. So that's, again, a pretty complicated thing to get your head around. Articles, obviously. The and a cause a lot of problems for Spanish speakers particularly, I know, but I imagine it's the same for all Romance languages and probably non-Romance languages as well. The rules are different, right? You know, something as simple as remembering, if we're talking about something in general, we don't use an article in English. We don't say I am scared of the dogs. We say I am scared of dogs in general, unless we're talking about a specific group of dogs, right? So that kind of thing can be more complicated than you think. We often forget that. Comparison, fewer, many, that kind of thing. Whether something's countable or uncountable can cause confusion a lot of the time. Anyway, we're going to have a look at a typical Part 2 exercise here. I'm going to give my answers, and I think what I'm going to do in the edit is I'm going to edit in the possible answers that the book gives, right? You should be seeing them under my face, essentially, now on the screen, right? I'm going to put a little box up there, and I'm going to give the answers according to the book, right? But I'm going to do this as I would write it, okay? So, let's see. We've got an article here about the French photographer Henri Cartier-Bresson, and so we have to fill in the gaps. There's 8 gaps, 1 word for each gap. Okay, so Henri Cartier-Bresson. Henri Cartier-Bresson helped establish photojournalism as An art form, there's our example. He believed that photography capture the meaning of outward appearance, and so his camera accompanied him. He went in the world. So he believed, I guess this is like his vision, for, I suppose, for what photography could do or should do, I think is what I would say. I would say could or should. He believed that photography could capture the meaning or should capture the meaning. Yeah, it's not really clear there. I don't know what I would say. Could or should, I think they'd surely both be acceptable. I'm going to put the answers up on the screen. Yeah, it's either what he believed either what he believed was possible or what he believed was preferable. So I think, yeah, could capture the meaning of outward appearance or should capture the meaning of outward appearance. And so his camera accompanied him. I suppose he did travel all over the world. So I suppose, there's a number of options coming into my head now, but I think the best one would be accompanied him wherever he went in the world. But I'm wondering if we could say everywhere or anywhere. Everywhere he went in the world. Everywhere he went in the world. Wherever he went in the world. Wherever he went in the world sounds better for some reason. I can't see why everywhere would be wrong. Or anywhere. Maybe someone can leave that in the comments. Would anywhere or everywhere be correct? For some reason, wherever sounds better, but I can't exactly explain why. I don't know. I'm fairly sure the answer is going to be wherever. You'll be seeing that on the screen now. If it's right, I'm glad. But maybe everywhere and anywhere? I don't know. Tell me why I'm wrong. Why can't... I don't know. Wherever he went in the world. Everywhere he went. I suppose everywhere he went in the world wouldn't need in the world, would it? Because it would be everywhere. Anywhere he went in the world. I don't know. I'm sticking with wherever. In his 20s, he travelled in Africa, recording his experiences with a 35mm Leica. Its probability, its portability, and its ease, and the ease with, yeah, this one's easy. One could record instantaneous impressions were hugely advantageous. Yeah, the ease with which, right? The ease with which one could record instantaneous impressions was hugely advantageous. Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt about that one. This type of camera was particularly relevant to Cartier-Bresson. It lent not only to spontaneity, but anonymity as well. So it facilitated anonymity and spontaneity. Because you could record instant impressions. So, right, the expression here would be, it lent itself. Now, we might not have heard of that expression before, but when something lends itself to, it makes something possible, right? So it lent itself to, not only to spontaneity, but also to anonymity, right? Yeah. Strange expression. Perhaps you haven't heard that before. I think we can use it with people as well. No, he lends himself to something. yeah. Anyway, number 5. To such an extent, Cartier-Bresson wished to remain silent. Now this is a difficult one, right? And even unseen, even unseen. Right, so to such an extent did Cartier-Bresson wish to remain a silent and even unseen witness. So we could say Cartier-Bresson wished to remain a silent and unseen witness to such an extent that he covered the bright chromium parts of his camera with black tape to render it less visible. But we can start with the verbal expression there at the beginning of the sentence, and we need did. We would say, to such an extent did Cartier-Bresson do this, right? Did Cartier-Bresson wish to remain a silent and even unseen witness? That, yeah, he covered up, he taped up parts of the camera so that they couldn't be seen, right? Okay. Cartier-Bresson travelled unceasingly, but there was compulsive or hurried about his travels or his photography. So he travelled unceasingly, constantly, right? He didn't cease in his travels, but contrast here, there was nothing compulsive or hurried, which is what you would imagine. If you're traveling all the time, if you do something unceasingly, you would imagine that you do it in a rush, right? And hurried and under some sort of feeling of compulsion. But there was nothing compulsive or hurried about his travels. One story tells of how Cartier-Bresson was present during the student riots in Paris in 1968. Undeterred the explosive nature of the riots, he continued to take photographs. So if something deters, for example, a burglar, like an alarm, often it's not that the alarm rings the police or alerts the police in time to stop a burglar. The fact is that often burglars are deterred when there is an alarm. They're deterred from burgling. So you are deterred by an alarm. He was undeterred by the explosive nature of the riots. Yes, he wasn't deterred by the nature of the riots. It didn't matter how violent they were. That did not deter him. He was not deterred by the explosive or violent nature of the riots. Undeterred by the explosive nature of the riots, he continued to take photos of about 4 per hour. Okay, so we're talking about the frequency with which he took photos. So at the rate of about 4 per hour, I think is what we would say there. Okay, so you can see the correct answers on the screen. Hopefully there might be a couple there that have more options than I said. I'm still thinking about number 2. I think I'm going to stick with wherever he went in the world. But could it be everywhere? Could it be anywhere as well? For some reason they don't sound as good, but I can't quite say why. There was another one I doubted about. No? No, I don't think so. No, I think they're all correct. The things I said. We'll find out. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.